All right, so we're diving into Leeds United today, specifically their pursuit of some free agents to bolster that squad. And this article from Leeds Live really caught my eye. It focuses on a veteran midfielder, Yusuf Gilavogi, who's apparently on manager Daniel Farke's radar.
Yeah, free agency is always an interesting time for clubs, looking for those experienced players who can bring a bit of leadership and stability. Let's see if Gilavogi fits the bill for Leeds.
Well, he's definitely not some unproven youngster. We're talking 34 years old with a whopping 218 Bundesliga appearances, for those who don't know. That's Germany's top league. And then you add another 118 in League One, France's top flight. Oh, and did I mention he's even earned a few caps for the French national team?
Wow, that's a serious resume. Playing at that level, especially for the national team, tells you a lot about his skill set and his ability to perform under pressure. We're talking about going up against giants like Bayern Munich and PSG week in and week out.
And it sounds like he's got more than one position up his sleeve. The article mentions that while he's primarily a defensive midfielder, he's also comfortable slotting in at center back. Talk about versatility. Every manager dreams of a player like that.
Absolutely. It gives you so much tactical flexibility, and perhaps even more importantly, it provides cover for multiple positions, which is crucial in a long season, especially if those injuries start piling up.
Seems like a no-brainer for Leeds to be interested in.
Right?
The article really emphasizes how manager Daniel Farke wants to add some experience to the squad. And Gilavogi seems to tick all the boxes. Plus, there's that photo floating around online of him with a Leeds supporter after that recent win against Sheffield United.
Yeah, that's a good sign. It suggests there's at least some level of genuine interest there. Maybe even some early contact. It'll be fascinating to see if it develops into something more concrete.
It's not all sunshine and roses, though. The article mentions that last May, Gilavogi collapsed on the pitch after a collision. And get this, he actually swallowed his tongue. Thankfully, the referee and medical staff were right on it and saved his life. But still, that's got to raise some eyebrows.
Absolutely. Anytime a player goes through something that serious, it has to be a major consideration for any club. You have to think about the long-term impacts and whether they can fully recover and compete at this level.
So how do clubs even begin to assess that kind of risk? I imagine it's a really tough situation to navigate.
It's a whole different ballgame, really. You've got medical reports to consider potential long-term impacts. And let's not forget the psychological aspect for both the player and the team. It's not a decision any club takes lightly.
And when you think about the demands of professional football, the constant physicality every match, the sprinting, tackling those aerial duels, even the slightest hesitation or fear from a previous injury could impact a player's performance, make them more susceptible to further injuries down the line.
Exactly. It's a high-stakes game.
So how do they weigh that risk against the obvious benefits Gilavogi could bring? I mean, we just talked about his experience, his versatility. It's got to be tempting for a club like Leeds.
It is, and that's where thorough due diligence comes in. They'll have their medical staff review all his records, maybe even have him undergo further tests. They need to be as sure as possible that he's healthy and ready to compete at this level.
It's like another layer of scouting almost, going beyond just what you see on the pitch.
Absolutely. And it's not like he's the only name on their list either. Remember the article mentioned they're actively scouting other free agents as well.
Right, they're keeping their options open.
Yeah.
But let's say, for argument's sake, that Gilavogi gets a clean bill of health. How much would his experience in those top leagues actually translate to helping Leeds? I mean, the championship is a different beast.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But think about it. He's faced those high-pressure situations week in and week out, gone up against some of the best players in the world. That kind of experience builds a certain resilience. He wouldn't be fazed by the championship, that's for sure.
And I get the feeling Leeds could use a bit of that steeliness in the midfield.
Exactly. And it's not just about what he brings individually either. Players with his level of experience, they elevate those around them. They bring tactical awareness, composure. They can guide the younger players.
So almost like having another coach out on the pitch.
Precisely.
It's invaluable, isn't it? That kind of veteran presence.
Absolutely sets the tone for the whole team.
So if we try to kind of zoom out and just look at the big picture here, what does this all mean for Leeds?
To me, it shows they're being smart, strategic. You know, they're not just trying to fill a roster spot. They're looking for someone who can really move the needle, both on and off the pitch.
Yeah, Gilavogi's experience, that versatility we talked about, that's got to be tempting. But then that health scare from last season, tough to ignore.
It is. They've got to weigh those risks and rewards very, very carefully.
For sure. And what about his age? Does that factor into the equation at all?
Of course. At 34, he's not getting any younger. His experience is a huge plus, but how long can he play at this level? That's a question every club has to ask.
Right. Right. It sounds like Leeds has a real decision to make here.
They do. Do you go with the experienced veteran in Gilbogi, hoping he brings that stability and leadership, but knowing there are question marks? Or do you go in a completely different direction? Maybe target a younger player, someone with more long-term potential.
It's going to be fascinating to see how it all unfolds. So are we going to see Gilavogi wearing that Leeds United kit anytime soon?
Your guess is as good as mine. But this deep dive into his history and everything going on at Leeds, it's definitely given us a lot to think about.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's not even just about one player, this whole thing. It's about assessing team needs, managing risk, thinking long-term. It really shows you all the different factors that go into building a successful football club.
Exactly. It's a high-stakes game for sure.
It really is. And for everyone listening, we want to hear from you. Put yourself in the manager's shoes. What would you prioritize most when making this decision? And what does your ideal Leeds United midfield look like next season? Let us know.